This podcast offers you the opportunity to explore new perspectives through compelling interviews with beautiful human beings and words of wisdom and love. This show was created to guide and inspire you. If you're looking for more meaning in your day-to-day life, if you're looking to be wowed by everyday people, if you're on a journey to joy, peace of mind, freedom, or a wild new adventure, then honey, you are in the right place. Welcome to Turning Inward with Dr. Vivian.
Welcome to Turning Inward with Dr. Vivian Carrasco. Our intention today is to open your heart and nurture your spirit as you travel on the road without miles, moving inward on your epic and personal journey of self-discovery. I am Rebecca Polvey, your co-host, and I'm here with Dr. Vivian Carrasco. This is the second episode of our fall 2014 season. We are so excited to share the story of Love.Being.Human with you and grateful that you are here with us. Today I'm going to interview Dr. Carrasco and delve a little deeper in what Love.Being.Human is about. I have a series of 5 questions that I'm going to ask her.
I am still a little nervous, but I'm excited about what's going to come out of my mouth.
I am too, Vivian. I guess I'll go ahead and get started. And I think the first appropriate question to ask you is, can you briefly describe Love.Being.Human?
I can, and it's evolving. It's a little bit different all the time. And I looked back at some of the early descriptions to prepare. And what I wrote down for today is that it's a way to develop habits of our hearts, to deepen our connections with ourselves and between others. I also wrote down that it's a way to guide us back to our intuitive wisdom. And it sounds very simple. It's 3 steps, love being human. But it is a work of our lives, if that makes sense. And as I've delved into the concept of it, it's layers nicely over lots and lots of things that I read over the last, actually, probably 2,000 years, from different cultures, different countries, different saints, different sages, different mystics. And that actually just makes it more and more exciting for me, is the simplicity of it and the ability for it to bring an insight to each individual person to see their own experience in a very special way.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you, Vivian. And, another thing I was really curious about, this question came to me and I thought, what impact has the Love.Being.Human process and development of that? What impact has that had on you personally?
And before I go on, I just have to say that these 5 questions were just perfect. You're just a genius. And I wanted to say that this is a really good way to focus in on some specifics for folks, because I, as you know, have had a hard time with that. But this was a beautiful question. And what I thought about as I reflected on the impact it's had on me,
Vivian?
Uh-huh.
Vivian, I'm sorry to stop you, but you went out right before, right when you were telling me how you liked the question. So can you start over again with what impact has Love.Being.Human had on you personally?
Sure. Well, as I reflected on the question, for me personally, there was a bit of a journey, but very simply, it's given me a better relationship to myself, and it's deepened and sort of clarified the relationships that I have with others. And that's very few words, but it's a very deep, sort of lived experience that it's done for me, because when Love.Being.Human was sort of, that Oprah aha moment or that eureka, it was different because it wasn't a tool, a technique, or a concept that I was looking for. It was, I believe, gifted because I had made a decision, in October of 2013, millions of people stopped working when the American government shut down because of whatever it shut down for. And in that moment, I decided to move towards love and not away from fear. And that was a very significant pivoting point for me. And as I enjoyed myself, I was in joy. Towards the end of that experience, Joshua was coming home, and these 3 words basically formed in my mind. And I didn't know what they were. So for the last year now, because it happened in October, I've been exploring them and unfolding them, and they're beautiful. And that's what they've done for me, is that they've really broadened and deepened my relationship with myself and between myself and others.
Oh, thank you, Vivian. Well, I really started to get a better grasp of love being human when you started to assign either love, being, or human to specific words or phrases for me when I began creating the media graphics for you. And I'm just wondering, how did you decide, or what is the process to determine what words or phrases fit into which one of those 3 categories?
That, I don't know how I decide. I know that the Love Being Human is a system of integration. So it's this infinite loop that starts and never stops. And you can start on one end, or you can start on the other. You can start in the middle. But I like to start at its base, or what I consider its base, and that's our humanity. That is our body, and noticing and bringing attention to the sensations of our body, because there's an intellect in the emotions that come up and the sensations that we feel. And so many of us are taking this journey from our head to our heart, and we begin that journey by going into our body, by living an experience. And so if it's breath, if it's our movement, if it's noticing, this is how we begin. We begin by bringing attention to our body. And that's both its automatic responses and our ability to respond. So increasing our response ability, so that, a very simple technique to move us out of that fight and flight and fear phase into a more calming, relaxed state, which is where we as human beings create and are able to expand and grow. And so when I consider that phase, that's what, if it has to do with our humanity, it belongs in being human. And its center for me is the being. And that could be stillness, that could be creating space, that could be being present, but that is the now. Because everything that is created for our future is created in the present. And so it's bringing ourselves back in whatever practice we choose, or whatever method we most relate to that being. So if it has to do with it expanding, any contemplative practice, a walk in nature, a gratitude, that belongs in being. And then love is everything. And love is taking inspired, even if it's imperfect, action. Because love, we move towards love, or that's the goal of Love Being Human, is to go home, is to be in our heart. It's to trust. And if we have incorporated both compassion and awareness, presence, then we know that we're moving closer to that truth. And so that's how I would say that I distinguished between the 3 parts.
Well, that's really interesting. Thank you. And, this was actually a 2-part question, this third one. And I also wanted to ask you, what are the synonyms for love being human? If you could describe those 3 words that are synonyms.
So human as compassion, being as stillness and love as inspired action.
Okay, thank you. And a process, what kind of awareness or changes could one hope for?
That is a very good question. And I love how that actually took me out of what the heck am I doing to how can it help you? Or the broader you that is listening. And in its basic form, in its full intention, it will bring more clarity to your decisions, to the choices that you see that you have in front of you, to the possibilities. And I think it'll do for you what it did for me. It will give you a greater sense of freedom. Freedom to do, rather freedom from. And that's a beautiful pivot. It's a beautiful shift in perspective. And I recently heard Martha Beck say, this is meant to be heaven, all the way to heaven. And so that third part is also what we can hope that it will bring. And that's an increase in the quality of your journey, because my why is to alleviate suffering in the world, and alleviate my own suffering, the suffering those I love, and the broader world. And so improving the quality of the journey of our lives will help do that.
Oh, thank you. Well, I guess then naturally part of this, what came to my mind, the last question is, what do you envision as our next steps in this process, which I am just thoroughly enjoying traveling on with you?
Oh, thank you. And I am totally enjoying you. When I thought about our next steps, I thought about our next steps for you and I, for this community. And then I thought about the next steps of the person specifically that's listening. So I think for us, it'll be an ongoing invitation for those that resonate with the message to join our community, to be a part of our inner circle, and develop a relationship with each other. And we'll do that through the newsletter. Not knowing when folks will listen to this, then the experience of Love.Being.Human is through the products and services, whether it's the daily inspiration that is shared across social media, to notice, to bring attention to any of those three facets of the system, or to the specific programs that we're bringing to form and about to share with the world. But I think that what's even more important than where we are when this audio is listened to, I think that you, as the listener, have an opportunity right now to take a next step. And you can do that by noticing or bringing to your awareness a pattern that you want to change, or by bringing to your awareness a habit that you'd like to build, and taking note of that.
Oh, thank you. Well, Vivian, thank you very much, and we thank everyone else for being with us here today. And if you enjoyed the conversation, we invite you to connect with us by joining our inner circle at viviancarrasco.com. And I'd like to close with a quote from Vivian. Remember, move with purpose and take inspired action.
Thank you for joining us today here on Turning Inward with Dr. Vivian. If the show moved the needle for you, please leave an honest review in iTunes. And also make sure you cruise on over to viviancarrasco.com and join us for personal strategies and tips to help you move forward. Ciao, baby.